All right, we're just going to launch right into this because we have seen an overwhelming amount of despicable anti-American behavior from the vile, unelected US traitor drumpf. But this, after the atrocity and murder by white supremacists of an anti-racist in Charlottesville, Virginia, takes the cake by far. Delusional idiot drumpf was faced with the easiest task it's had in its entire existence: to simply, roundly, and fully denounce and disavow Nazis, white scum supremacists, KKK assholes, and white trashionalists. But unelected US traitor drumpf couldn't even do that. And conversely, and in contrast, drumpf actually called them very fine people instead. Anti-American racist, despicable, bigoted terrorists covered in Nazi symbols and shouting Nazi slogans, racist slogans, are, according to idiot drumpf, very fine people. Drumpf just conflated and confused our U.S. military and our country with Nazis that we fought and destroyed, along with their bigoted leader, Adolf Hitler, whom those creeps, despicable criminals, idiot and racist drumpf called very fine people, idolize and cherish as some kind of a hero. It's abominable. Drumpf said it can be the most presidential U.S. president next to someone like Abraham Lincoln, and thought its racist, anti-American likeness should adorn our Mount Rushmore. Despicable idiot drumpf talks of unity while commending Nazis and giving support to the KKK and white trashionalists. Deadbeats, lowlifes, scum of the earth, drumpf called very fine people. And what does that garner? It garners praise from KKK Grand Twat David Duke. Came out and praised drumpf for its despicable anti-American traitorous support of Nazis in our country. Drumpf says he blames both sides. Well, let's take a look at what that means then. If you're blaming both sides for the violence, a group of Nazi scum versus good, solid, patriotic American people who despise racists and Nazis. Let's just take a look at that. So you've got Nazis versus Americans who despise Nazis. And drumpf chose to blame them both for what happened in Charlottesville. Drumpf is so far removed from reality, it is incredible. He's so deeply bigoted and racist himself. Just Google the Central Park Five and drumpf and see the correlation. Drumpf doesn't even know what the alt-right is, or so it claims. Well, that's like the forest for the trees, when drumpf is the tree. It's unable to distinguish itself from the rest of the forest. Drumpf is the alt-white. The alt-white is a minority cult of racists, bigots, and murderous anti-American white trash degenerates who do not belong in our racially diverse country where everyone, with the exception of Indians, Inuit Indians, and Mexicans, immigrated to. All of those white trash scumbags ought to go back to wherever their families immigrated from. They're not Americans. They should all go home. They do not belong in our diverse country. They are a toxin here. Do our U.S. troops who charged the Nazis in battle deserve to be blamed for their actions too, drumpf? Drumpf said that the anti-racist protesters who defended themselves against white trash Nazi scum deserve part of the blame. Well, that would imply that the United States of America, that went and fought the Nazi German army and won, bearing them, would be held responsible. They would be to blame for the violence they used to eradicate Hitler and the Nazis. This is the same game drumpf is playing, trying to place blame on the people who fought honorably against hatred and bigotry. This is how delusional drumpf is. This is how it sees what's going on now. Instead of seeing a group of white trash who descended on an area in order to cause chaos and create hate, drumpf sees the people who oppose that, the patriotic Americans who stood up to that despicable racism and bigotry. He sees them as partially responsible. No, drumpf, they're not. They are the heroes. They are the U.S. Army coming to bury the Nazis. Get it through your thick, uneducated head, you moron. You are an idiot and an anti-American and a traitor. You've done nothing but praise Putin, our enemy. You seem to have an affinity for bonding with our enemies. Nazis, Russians, spies from Russia. That's not what America is about, nor will it ever be. Most of the members of your cult, Republicans, are willing to come forward and denounce you. All these CEOs leaving your manufacturing council have good reason. They don't want to share a table with a piece of shit like you. They don't want their elbows, their clothing, to touch you or anything you've touched. You're vile. You're a toxin. You're a pollutant. You're a poison. You're the worst, most treacherous anti-American piece of shit that has ever been born here. You should go back to wherever any of your relatives came from. This country isn't for you. Maybe you can petition Putin to take you into his household where you belong. And Robert E. Lee was a traitor, a secessionist traitor who fought to preserve slavery. End of discussion. The antithesis of Abraham Lincoln, the antithesis of General Grant, who crushed and destroyed traitor Robert E. Lee. His statue should be pulled down. His statue should be pulled down and rammed up your ass. You're despicable. You know nothing of America or our history. You're an intolerant, racist bigot and a prick. Robert E. Lee rebelled against his own government to force slavery onto a nation. He's despicable. He's just like Tim McVeigh, a murderous scumbag. That's what he is. That's what his statues represent. And there can be no other perspective unless you are a racist or a traitor. Then you see your fellow racist and traitor as kin, like you do to these white supremacists, Nazis, KKK, and white trashionalists. That's how you see yourself, because that's what you are. That's why you're supporting them, and that's why you garner the support of KKK Grand Twat David Duke, who is a piece of shit. No, drumpf. Anti-racists are not bad or evil. The racist bigots they oppose are evil. And you need to tell them unequivocally that they are not welcome in our multi-racial nation. Remember, drumpf, your grandpa, Friedrich Drumpf, your mother, and your third spouse are all immigrants to this country. All Nazi scum need to leave our country and go back to where their families came from, wherever they originated. They need to get the hell out of America. This country is not for them. There's nothing for them to take back. When they say they're going to take back their country, well, fucking go there first and then take it back, because this ain't it. Notice the diversity in the anti-racist movement. Every color, every religion, every creed, every belief. Then take a look at the alt-white trash racist cult. There is no diversity at all. It is all young, stupid white trash, old stupid white trash, and middle-aged stupid white trash. There are no Latinos, Hispanics, Indians. There are very few women, for that matter. They're all psychotic assholes with one thing in mind: calling everyone that doesn't look like them inferior. We can only hope that they'll need blood transfusions in the future, because the person they will be relying on for that transfusion will be Dr. Charles Drew, a black physician who discovered, invented, and brought to life blood plasma and transfusions, the ability to save a life while someone was bleeding out by actually reintroducing blood into their system. That person was black. So, as much as we don't want anything bad to happen to people, we do hope that Nazi scum will need to be reliant on black technology, because they have no understanding of anything that might actually bring about a small epiphany inside those tiny, tiny single-celled brains of theirs to make some impression that they are not superior to anyone and inferior to all. But drumpf has totally disrespected every loyal, patriotic U.S. soldier who fought to remove Adolf Hitler and wipe out his evil clan of white trash. Fuck you, traitor drumpf. You are a piece of shit. We can't wait for FBI Special Counsel Robert Mueller to close in on you, cuff you, and take you away where you belong. A prison cell. That's where you belong. Or, as we do to traitors in this country, we hang them, or we convene a firing squad, or we give you a lethal injection, or we electrocute you. Those are the forms of punishment that the right wing wants for traitors. So you should certainly be the recipient of those measures should you be convicted for treason and colluding with our enemy Russia and Putin to undermine our democracy, which at this point it's pretty damn clear you did. We have your creepy little son Junior's email confessing that he was trying to collude with our enemy to undermine our election. And they'll dig more up. There's more to come. Rest assured, the walls are going to close in on you until you are the thin man. Every normal, patriotic American saw you coming 1,000 miles away. You're an anti-American and you are a bigot. Choose your side, drumpf. Our U.S. military and our country, or Hitler and the Nazis? What's it gonna be, dipshit?
Admiral, this is off topic of North Korea, but you've given your entire life to the service of this country. You've been surrounded by others who have given their entire lives to the service of this country. Some of your friends have lost their lives in service of this country. What's your reaction to what the President of the United States did not do or say last Saturday?
It is inexplicable to me, as someone who has spent my life trying to ensure that people across the spectrum of this nation are treated fairly and equally, that the President could not identify fascists, Nazis, and all the other actors who came into Charlottesville, Virginia, where my daughter went to university, Jefferson's University, and disgraced our nation. Why he could not do that is something I think any serving member of the armed forces would be asking him or herself, continuing on even after the 24, 48 hour later reclama.
So then, Admiral, I have two questions for you. Number one, do you think Secretary Mattis is conveying that kind of message to President Trump?
I suspect that he is staying off of the domestic political agenda, but I would hope that he's conveying it to his close friend, fellow four-star Marine John Kelly, who sits at the center of the storm on this, and God bless him, he's a terrific officer, a terrific person. I've got to think that his influence is what led to the restatement of reaction, and I hope that his influence continues.